Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Hypocrites and Hypochondriacs podcast. I pray that this podcast episode finds you doing well and at peace. If you realize it, today is not Wednesday, our normal day, but today is Friday. And we have such a treat for you. We're going to start something new, so tune in to hear what's going on. So in today's episode, I'll have a graphic for you to see this shirt that I got from the Allison show. And the shirt says, she can't be stopped. When I first got the shirt, I was so excited just because of course, I follow Allison on Instagram and I think she's amazing. So I was excited to purchase the shirt. When I got the shirt in the mail, I laid it out and I took a picture of it and I didn't post anything yet. I was waiting. I was like, I think I want to wear it, just because a lot of the photos that I saw online were people who were actually just repping the shirt, and just proud to wear it. So I basically had somewhere to go outside the house to a dentist appointment because quarantine has slightly been lifted. And I got my outfit together and I ironed my clothes and, got my earrings together and decided what socks and shoes I was going to wear and all that. And I get this shirt on and I instantly feel threatened by the shirt because the statement says she can't be stopped. And I said, wow, to wear this shirt means that I have to feel a certain way about myself. And I know in this society, sometimes we wear our confidence. People love to wear labels and they love to wear labels with logos on it. So people can know, hey, this is Balenciaga. Hey, this is Gucci. God forbid you chose some Balenciaga that didn't have a Balenciaga all over it. No one would know that it's Balenciaga, and it's not enough for you to know that you could afford it and put it on your back, but you need to let everybody else know. So, people wear their confidence. So with this shirt, it was different because it says she can't be stopped. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is powerful. This is kind of like putting on a cape and you're ready to be a superhero. Well, you think you're ready, but then you think about everything that it entails. Because for me to put that shirt on meant a whole lot. And I'm a person who loves t-shirts. Like if I go to a restaurant and it's good, I'm going to buy the t-shirt. When people say been there, done that, bought the t-shirt, that's me. I love to wear different shirts that say different cheeky sayings or just powerful statements. Years ago, on Easter, we never dressed up. We would wear jeans, and me and my husband would always specifically find a t-shirt to wear that said something powerful because Easter wasn't about the best dress. Easter was really about Jesus, but we found ourselves trying to go against the grain of what people typically do on an Easter. And so we always annually bought a shirt with a message. So I love short shirts with messages. That's the point I'm trying to make. And so this shirt had a powerful message that I was not ready to wear because when people looked at that shirt and they looked at me, they needed to see someone who was confident. And I'm going to tell you, I wasn't feeling that way. And I realized that in this society, we put on a lot of things and, we know even from this podcast, we talk a lot about true change happening from the inside out. Everything happens from the inside out. Things start from the inside out and then they manifest themselves on the outside. So what was happening on the inside of me? Why did I feel so insecure? Why did I feel like I wasn't producing enough? Why did I feel like what I was doing wasn't good enough? I think what I allowed to come in was comparison. And even though if anybody knows me, those who know me know that I am a cheerleader. Like I pay compliments. I have no problem with looking at someone shine or do great and patting them on the back. And I have no problem with pulling someone up when they're down. That's the type of person I am. So it wasn't a situation where I felt like someone else's success was coming out of my bank account. It was just saying, Antia, why aren't you good enough? And I put my whole heart into what I was doing. I mean, the effort that I put in was 100%. I didn't feel like I was representing myself. I felt like I was representing something greater. And what I allowed to come in was trying to be the greatest. And in the midst of you trying to share your fruit and trying to be relevant and trying to be accepted and trying to be greater, you can't necessarily try to be the greatest. And it's not like teamwork and collaboration isn't my favorite, but I just feel like I allowed some thoughts and some things to get inside that shouldn't have got in there. And so we've been talking about atmosphere. Our last episode talked about atmosphere and just curating the atmosphere that you have based off of the things that you allow to come in your eyes and the things that you allow yourself to hear. And so that's very important. For me, I think that the change happened when I got my focus off. So when my focus became more about people pleasing than about actually just producing the content and being consistent. Consistency is important because when those who find you, they need to find you doing well. They need to find you being about your father's business. And it's so funny. I think right now in this instance, while I'm saying what I'm saying, I'm thinking about um, a story in the Bible where they talked about these young ladies. There was these 10 virgins, and the story, the whole purpose of the story about the 10 virgins was readiness and being prepared. And for me, sometimes my happy thought when I would think about viewers and subscribers to my podcast, I would always have this second thought that said, when they come, you'll be ready. When they come to see, you'll have content for them to consume. So I was just in the lab producing content. We learned that when the Lord stops, you stop. And what that is in reference to is when you feel like there's something, there's a word of the Lord, there's a word of wisdom, there's something that you feel like you are compelled to share with the person. And we were taught that when you are given something to share with someone, when the Lord has stopped, you must stop. And what that means is you don't have to over embellish. And there was a story that talked about a lady, and I believe there was like a yellow kite or some type of random object that she said, this is how I'll know it's you, because this lady had a son with a disability. And so whenever someone would give her a word from the Lord, it was always about her son. It was always about something that was obvious in her life. And so she always felt like it wasn't accurate. And so there was this guy who gave her a word, and it seemed random. And he shared what the Lord said, and he felt like that wasn't enough. And so he felt like he needed to embellish. And I may be telling that story all wrong, but those who heard the story, they know that I've just given you the gist of it. And even with myself, it's funny because as I stood at church one day, Chris, I'll just say Chris, he was kind of looking over at me, and I don't know what was going on in his head, but later on, I figured out what was going on. But to make a long story short, he basically walked over to me and was like, I don't know what this means, but all I see is apples. He says, I see Antea Appleseed. And for those of you who know me, know, of course, the Hypocrites and Hypochondriacs podcast is about apples. And apples has been something that has been a part of me for years. It all started years ago when I got a Bible study download that had something to do with apples, but it was about all these different women in the Bible that we had never heard of that did exploits. And it was really then when the Lord gave me the revelation that the apple itself isn't bad, but the apple has been given the reputation of um, deception when really it's about influence. And so the whole point of the Bible study was about being aware of your influence as a woman. And so we told these unknown stories about these wonderful women in the Bible. And so that was over 10 years ago. But the apples never left me. And as time progressed, I began to get more and more clear picture of what God wanted me to do in my future, but he was preparing me for it. So by the time Chris walked over to me and said it, it was confirmation that I needed to hear. Although I knew about apples, it was so random. Antea Appleseed, all I see is apple orchard, all I smell is apples. That's so random. And to be the person who received that word and you got to walk over to a person and tell them that you just see apples. But he didn't have to add any more to it. He could have just said it and left it alone. And that's exactly what he did, because it was all I needed to hear. He could have just came up to me and said apples, but it was a blessing, just to hear apples. I smell apples. I taste apple seed. You know what I'm saying? And the other week when we were on a Zoom call as a team at church, and he said apple fritter. And that blessed me. First of all, apple fritters is my favorite pastry. But I'm just saying all that to say is that in this, I felt like everything that I was saying and the amount of time that I was saying it was exactly what God was giving me to say. And when I didn't have any more to say, I stopped saying it. And so this past week, I didn't produce an episode on Wednesday because God wasn't telling me to produce an episode on this Wednesday. Well, it's Friday, and I'm producing an episode because eventually what I was supposed to do was roll into self-care. We launched Mellow Mondays. After we got started, we have our Wednesday episode that we do every Wednesday, and then we do Self-Care Fridays. And I realized in this whole episode that I've been going through in my life, I live life in episodes, almost kind of like it's kind of funny, almost kind of like a soap opera. But I live life in episodes. In this particular episode, self-care was important. We have to stop and take care of ourselves. We have to stop trying to be producers. And we have to realize the greatness is on the inside of us and that we are enough. And that's a big statement. We are enough. You are enough. And so many times people want to add more to themselves. They want to add enhancements. They want to do this. They want to do that. But you have to understand you in the contents of who you are is enough. And sometimes we allow outside things to distract us. And it's so easy to do. It could be a child, it could be a spouse, it could be a boss, it could be a family member, it could be your finances, it could be your car, it could be your house. I mean, it could be so many different things that can come in your life and wreck your world. And even just me being in quarantine was kind of like a safe place for me, because remember in my previous episode, I shared how I resigned from my job and then quarantine happened. And so basically, I've kind of been chilling in the house for 3 months. And so now I find that I don't want to go out in the world. And when I go out in the world, I'm extremely hypersensitive to the condition of the world, just in the different experiences that I've had with people and different things like that. And so we can allow those things to penetrate us. And it's not that we have to say we can't be soft. You need to be sensitive. You know, you need to be very sensitive, but we need to also practice our resilience. And resilience really comes from knowing who you are and realizing the value that you have, and not looking for people to validate you and prop you up, but looking to yourself and to, of course, your source, which I believe the source is Jesus Christ. But what I'm saying is you have to understand that when he started you, who he finished you. And what that means, that everything that you need to live the best life that you can live here on earth has already been put inside of you. Well, clutch my pearls. That was a whole lot. And I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I hope that you come and tune in to Self-Care Fridays, because I believe that it's so important that we stop and take care of ourselves. Especially us as women, we're life givers. We are producers. We are people who are taking care of others, taking care of family members, taking care of our children, taking care of our spouses. We have been given such a powerful ability to be able to do that. But sometimes we are so busy taking care of others. We're taking care of things on the outside of us that we're not taking care of the inside of us. We're not taking care of not just our nails and getting manicures and pedicures and getting your hair done and getting facials, but really taking care of yourself on the inside and understanding that your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health is so important, because that is who you really are. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Hypocrites and Hypochondriacs podcast. I hope to see you on Monday for Mellow Mondays, on Wednesday for our regular episode, and then next Friday for Self-Care Fridays. Until then, be blessed.